the second time we had sex was in an apartment. We didn't shut the blinds, and we noticed halfway through there was an entire balcony of people in the other building, and I was like, babe, I'll go shut the blinds. And you're like, no, it's okay. I'm like, there you go. Damn. Yeah. Okay, it's showtime. Yeah.
Have you ever like recorded and then you're like, nah, we're not posting?
We don't have shit sex, so
There you go.
I get a mate call me, and so he goes,
Geez, Ty, I didn't know you were packing that.
that was it. That was it.
Really?
That was literally it. That was how do you sort of tell your potential future in-laws? Look, I have a kink. I like having sex with your daughter and putting it on show.
All right, Dos, you ready to talk about sex? Because I certainly am.
Yes, baby. Yeah.
Stace and Ty, welcome to the dos&d show.
thank you for having us.
Yes,
We're excited.
We are probably more excited than you. We cannot wait. We've had this penciled in for a long time. Thank you for making the trip down. Let's get straight into it. Tell us what you do.
Well, OnlyFans. That's probably amongst a range of things. We are OnlyFans creators, content creators. I am a body transformation coach as well, and through a turn of events, I now help people get fit for sex through nutrition, training, optimizing themselves to be optimized in the bedroom. And Stace.
And I'm the other half of the OnlyFans creator.
Yep.
I'm also an intimacy coach. So I work with couples and individuals to help with their sexual potential and confidence in the bedroom.
Nice. So how long have you guys actually been together as a couple, firstly?
About 18 months officially.
Okay.
We've actually known each other probably about a decade.
Really?
Yeah, we knew each other through mutual friends back in New Zealand. And we were actually with other partners when we first met. So obviously nothing happened, but yeah. A few years ago, Ty slid into my DMs and
It works. It works.
Yeah.
It does work.
Well done.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe you need the physique though. That's but a few others.
Yeah, how
few
many
others
topless
lack.
photos are on that feed? You know?
It was all topless photos.
Yeah. Still is.
No shame in that.
Well, and again, and I would just love to know, when does this conversation come up? How does it turn from even seeing each other to going into a relationship to, hey, we're going to now put it all out there on the internet for anybody to watch?
It started really quickly. We found out very early on that we had a shared kink for people watching us. So we were already filming a lot of our sex and intimate moments just for ourselves. And then I think it was just a flippant comment that Ty made, like, oh, we should start an OnlyFans. And then the next day I said, were you serious about that? And then
I'm like, well, if you are, I was.
yeah. And then we were like, oh, maybe we should. We were really into people watching us. So that's why we started our OnlyFans, because we have a shared kink. And I teach and coach people to, I guess, fully express themselves and not have any shame around sex. So, if I'm teaching other people to do that, kind of thought I should take my own advice. Yeah. And that was, gosh, probably 6 months into being together, maybe not even.
I don't even think it was that.
Yeah.
No.
It was pretty early on.
So this kink though, is this like we're in the park and we're kind of hoping somebody walks past? Like, how do you discover this?
I think that's totally different.
That's illegal.
Okay.
Well, no, how we discovered it, first of all, is literally probably the second time we had sex was in an apartment. We didn't shut the blinds, and we noticed halfway through there was an entire balcony of people in the other building, and I was like, babe, I'll go shut the blinds. And you're like, no, it's okay.
Ooh.
I'm like,
There you go.
damn.
Yeah.
Okay, it's showtime.
He was trying to be a respectful gentleman, people watching, and I was like, no, I'm kind of into it. Okay, so am I.
So that's how we found out.
Yeah.
Cool.
That we both had that kink of being watched, and OnlyFans just facilitates that. So we can put content up knowing that, subscribers are going to watch, and we get our kicks from that.
So part of your goal is to help other people find their kinks, isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with you guys finding this kink, there's probably so many other people out there that have kinks, but they don't necessarily want to express it.
Yeah, I think, sex is such a taboo topic, and we found through our OnlyFans, like we have people in our OnlyFans messaging us about they've been married for 18 years and they've finally started to talk about sex or try new things, and they are starting to develop to develop kinks of their own. And it's because it's such a taboo topic and we're so open about it in our OnlyFans. Like we do a vlog every week and it's only to our VIP members, and it essentially takes them through like what we do in a day, and that will include like intimate moments and sex. And being open to talk about it, people are starting to find like, oh, you know, maybe I'm into that, or maybe we should explore that. So I think it's just opening that conversation.
And I think it's, just what Stace said. It's the type of content that we do have on our OnlyFans. Yes, there's all whatever you can imagine. Yes, it's there. But also just that vlog, it's literally we're taking you a day in our life. And so they're seeing the normal stuff, like I'll cook breakfast, you know, we'll go out and about, go to the gym, you know, just day-to-day errands, and we end up having sex in it. But they're seeing like this everyday life. Hey, I do that as well. And then when we're having epic sex as well, it's like maybe that's what I should. And they just feel more comfortable there. So we were really surprised with that. We haven't come across any other OnlyFans creators that create vlogs or anything in there. So I think that was a huge or still is a huge connection to people.
And I was just going to say, and it's almost like normalizing it. So
Absolutely.
you're what you're saying is day to day, I do exactly what everyone else does who probably currently are fans of yours. They can be doing the same thing.
Yeah, people, and I think that's it, is people think a kink, you know, you have to go to whips and chains or like go to a dungeon, and like you don't have to start there. You can start from where you're at, and to see that we're just normal people living out a normal life and do things that everyday people do. And then we also have sex the way that we do, or we might bring out some whips and chains, whatever that looks like. We're just normal people, and you can incorporate that into your life. So I think it is normalizing it. Yeah.
So do you think then kinks and talking to your partner about kinks and bringing it to the table, do you think that actually saves a lot of relationships or has a capacity to save relationships because it's going to actually increase a sex life rather than potential cheating or fantasizing or any of those kinds of things?
I think, and we say this a lot, is that monogamy is hot, and being in a relationship with someone that you love and trust is like the hottest way to experience something. And so if you're in a relationship and you have a kink that you can't live out, or a fetish that you can't, get your kick from, that can definitely save a relationship by being able to talk about it, explore it. You're building that trust and connection with each other, as well as getting what you need sexually, which is a huge part of relationships in everyone's lives. It can save a relationship. And, you know, building a kink and having a kink isn't just about the sexual element. That is a huge part, but you're building trust, you're building connection, you're building that shared experience together. So there's so many other aspects of it that's just not the physical, but the physical is that, you know, it helps as well, especially if you have something that you need in your relationship.
How important is sex in any monogamous relationship? Because there are so many couples that probably, well, one, they don't prioritize it. But two, they say it isn't important, so I don't need to prioritize it. So with you guys and what you're teaching, you just shared us some exciting news, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. When it comes to those people, what do you say there?
I think everyone's individual.
Yeah.
Some people have higher sex drives than others, and that's okay. I think it's all about communication and communicating that within your relationship. If you have a higher sex drive than your partner, you know, there's always going to be someone who's compromising. So it's finding a healthy balance where you're both getting your needs met. So I guess it depends on the person.
But at the same time, I think that, you know, you just mentioned people say, oh, it's not that important. It's probably a bit of a cover as well. If they had an environment where the sex was epic, the connection was there, the communication was there, they'd be wanting more of it. It's just that they're probably not on the same page. They don't feel comfortable communicating their wants. And therefore, it's just, it's not that important.
But also, like, it's so easy to... Sex is probably the first thing to go in relationships. If you have kids, you've got jobs, you've got stress, you know, you can't have pleasure and stress at the same time. So it's the first thing that people stop prioritizing. So if you're saying, I don't want sex or I don't have a sex drive, it's probably actually you've just got so many other things going on in your life that it's something that you haven't even thought about or you don't even have capacity to think about right now. But if then you start to focus on it and start to actually bring that, I rather say sexual currency rather than actually like having sex. So it's the things that you do every day, like small touches, kisses, you know, those little sexual moments. It doesn't have to be sex. But bringing those back into your relationship actually starts to build the desire to have sex rather than focusing just on having sex.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, we're going to go into the nitty gritty of OnlyFans and everything
Yep.
shortly, but I'm interested. You can't be jealous, can you? In what you guys do, you can't be jealous that guys watch Stacey and
not at
girls
all.
watch Ty or yeah, like
He loves it.
I'm like, babe, how many guys have you got? Well done. I'm looking at all the messages,
He loves
Who
it.
gets more messages? Who gets the more personal bit?
It's actually probably quite equal.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah,
reckon?
we met because we just came over from Sexpo over in Perth, and we met a lot of content creators, and they actually were blown away. They said that we were probably, and this took us by surprise, we're probably the top couple content creators on OnlyFans in Australia. We're like, really? But then when we're just talking about businesses general, and they were blown away by our subscribers. Yes, we have a lot of guys in there, absolutely, but we get a lot of couples and a lot of females too. And I think that's because we're not just popping up sex on there. Yes, it's there, but it's like what we mentioned, the vlogs, the everyday life stuff, and that has this appeal, I guess, of a desirable relationship with what we have, epic sex, but also just in everyday life as well. So yeah, we probably do get an equal amount of messages.
But Ty loves, I don't know how, if you're happy for me to share this.
No, let's go.
But
Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
he loves the thought of people watching me and men getting off to, we have, and the reason that we've done OnlyFans is because there's still that boundary, right? We're not actually having people come into our relationship. We don't collaborate. We don't share. But the thought of other people getting off to me or us, he loves it. It's I guess it's like, yeah, you can watch, but I have that.
Yeah,
you know? It's kind of like you can watch what I have, but you're not getting it.
But I feel like most people wouldn't have that same view or feeling. They're probably more protective or jealous or...
Yeah, I think, and that's just, that's our kink. So not everybody has that.
Sure.
Some people do, and then they want to see that more. They want to cross that line. But I think one thing too is just knowing that just because you might like the idea of something, sometimes it's okay for that kink just to remain in fantasy. That's enough, and that's fine. You can share that with your partner. You can run scenarios in your head, together, and that's enough. It doesn't have to cross over into, okay, babe, we're off to a sex party now. We're going to share you. It just, so.
Gangbang.
Yeah. That's not on the page. That's not on the OnlyFans. I do admit that. Yeah.
And I also think it comes down to the connection and trust that we have. If there's ever anything or messages in there, or something's getting a little bit hot and heavy, I'll get tired of jump in or say, hey, you okay with this? And we're both very confident in ourselves and in our relationship. So I think we know that we'd never cross boundaries or lines.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is our OnlyFans is different in the fact that we didn't start this for money. Money's nice. Absolutely. But this is because it's a shared kink we had. And you'll see that in the messages. We're very truthful with people. If people are like, hey, you want to meet up? Say, sorry, we don't do that. So yeah, it's just open and honest in the comms.
The first time you guys set the camera up, I don't know if it was the iPhone set up with a tripod.
The iPhone.
Yeah. Well,
We've upgraded
and
since
now
then.
it's a big production.
It's got lights. Yeah.
What when you're, I don't know what the process was. If you create the account first, then you film, or you film first and you create the account, but then you head over to your video editing software and you sit down together and you edit it together. I don't know if that is the process, but what was it like watching yourselves fuck for the first time, essentially?
Well, we had started filming before we had OnlyFans, but I guess it was very different once we posted our first video because that kind of made it real. And especially when people started buying it, we were like, oh shit, that's out there now. People are watching it.
Yeah.
And so I do all the editing. So back then it was literally editing on an iPhone app. I can't believe how I used to do it. It was record on an iPhone. I'd edit on an iPhone app with freaking InShot or something and then upload it. And now, I'm using DaVinci and using all these proper editing
Wow.
things.
Yeah, running 2 cameras.
Bit of multicam.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I guess the first month we were and I still had a full-time job, parents finding out, we were there was so much anxiety around it of holy shit, this is out there. So that was quite confronting, I guess. Yeah.
We tried to initially, because it was just for us, and it was like, hey, let's just do it on the DL. Nobody's gonna find out, you know. It's fine. It's nothing, you know. There's so many OnlyFans creators out there. And then we went viral on TikTok.
Yeah, we started a TikTok. We were like, oh, let's just try it. We're not getting much traction. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and then we had a couple of posts back to back on TikTok that was getting over 10 million views.
Wow.
It was like in 1 week. It was like this, oh shit, you know. And the messages were coming through. It was
What
like,
kind of videos were they?
oh, dude, just innocent.
One was I was we were training together, and I just bent over in front of Ty. I set the camera up. We were always filming with training, and so I just bent over in front of him multiple times, and it was just a compilation of that. I think that's got over nearly 18 million now.
Wow.
And there was another one at that time was Ty got a hard on in
That's
the car
right.
park.
That's right. Yeah. We're mucking around in the car before we went into the Woolworths, and I couldn't go into the Woolworths, and I was trying to settle down, and Stace was just recording it all. I didn't even know because I was hugging you, and that blew up.
Yeah.
So you were promoting that you had OnlyFans.
It was a link. There
And,
was a
and
link
how
in it.
was it just going ding, 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 ding? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So when was the first time that you found out, if this has happened, that somebody you know has subscribed to you? Has that happened?
It hasn't. Well, we know.
Like, you know
no,
it.
actually,
You know.
no. You'll
Yeah.
let you tell the story. Yeah.
I know. So I get a mate call me, and so he goes,
Jeez, Ty, I didn't know you were packing that.
that was it. That was it.
Really?
That was literally it. That was literally it. Yeah. It says, so, yeah, I hear you're.
Hung like a horse. Yeah.
So one of his
Which he
wife's
is.
friends, yeah, had subscribed, and then it just went around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other people. We've got people following our TikTok and Instagram that we know personally, but it is very anonymous in OnlyFans. You can essentially hide who you are, so we have no idea.
What's like a typical? What's a very common? And I don't know if you're allowed to share this or open to share this, but what is a common request from, say, subscribers that come through all the time?
I
They
would say,
vary.
yeah, no such thing as common.
Or what's the weirdest request then? The strangest.
I love when they look at each
and
other.
that doesn't mean you've done it. It just they've requested it. What's the weirdest?
Well, I didn't know a food fetish existed until a gentleman requested one.
What is that?
Sex while you're eating.
The kink is so there's a few kinks within it. One is like Ty essentially being waited on and being fed while having sex, and then him kind of just being like disinterested in it. So there's two things in that.
Disinterested in which part?
Both.
Okay.
Oh no, he wants the food. He wants the food.
So this was role play. We got asked
Yeah,
to role
okay,
play.
okay.
So I was meant to be, who was the character?
Oh, I don't know, someone from like a
Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
The
that's the one.
description was I was a fat king who was tired of, because I've defeated all my enemies, and now I've just got fat and lazy, and Stace is my
Like servant.
prize
Yes, servant.
as being the king, and she's to feed me grapes while servicing me. And the strangest part was, can you please act fat?
And the request was also to try and make Ty look fat, and Ty has no fat on
No.
his body. He's
How
like
does that work?
rock
It
hard
didn't-
abs. So
didn't work.
we were like, I mean, we can
pushing
try,
out.
but like, it's not very comfortable.
So do they put a monetary figure? Do they say, if you do this, we'll pay you X? Is that how it works, or does it just say how? Or do they say how much would it cost for this? How
Pretty
does it
much.
work?
Pretty
Yeah.
much. It goes back and forward.
Okay. So you can if you want to go down that route, you can negotiate.
You can.
basically.
You can.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was probably the strangest. Oh,
Yeah.
and yeah, we dressed up as Romans.
Romans.
Romans. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the strangest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's
What about you? Like, if I'm sure your friends, family, they know what you do now. Let's talk family. What's the first reaction? So this is a legitimate business. Like you guys do this for a living now. It's not just a little side gig that we're doing. Like, I'm sure you might have got some strange looks at the beginning, or maybe you didn't. Would you be open to sharing that?
Yep. So I told my family at first, when we started getting viral TikToks. I was like, oh shit, I don't want them to hear this from someone else. I don't want them to someone come and say, do you know what Stacey's doing? So Actually, my sister found out and called me actually first and said, "Hey, is someone impersonating you?" And I was
Wow.
like, "No, that's me."
So at that time, what were you doing for work?
I had a full-time job in like organizational psychology for
Okay.
a tech company.
Okay, gotcha.
And I still do. I still work there
Yep.
as well. And she called and wanted to make sure that essentially I hadn't been forced into it and someone wasn't impersonating me. And then I said, I should probably tell mum and dad. So that was a fun conversation. I called mum and I made mum tell dad because I didn't want to have that conversation with dad.
God.
And so she was at first, I guess, just worried, like any mother really would be. And she didn't really know what it was. She didn't know why. And so we had the conversation. And then the next week I was in New Zealand anyway. So we all sat down as a big happy family and had mum and dad talk to Ty and I about, have you thought about what you're doing? Is this relationship for good? What are your intentions? Because it was also very early on in our
I was
relationship.
just going to say that because
Yeah, it was a great one.
like that's almost the first meeting of the in-laws, essentially.
I think it was probably about the third.
That must have been tough.
Yeah, it was. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. Because how do you sort of tell your potential future in-laws, look, I have a kink. I like having sex with your daughter and putting it on show.
Hope they're tuning into that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I'm just imagining like Christmas now, like each year, and you go to shake your father-in-law's hand, and you look at each other in the eyes, and he knows exactly what's
Yeah.
going on. And like it must, like, I know we can all joke and laugh about it, but
Yeah.
it must be to a degree awkward or tough, and for you too, Stace.
Well, yeah, look, there's this constant elephant in the room. But as time's going on, that elephant is getting
It is
smaller.
that thing.
He stays in the pants, happy family. But yes, it's the norm. It's the norm that, And I think too, a major part is the fact that OnlyFans is kind of really, if you want to look at it from a business perspective, we didn't start it as a business, from that point of view. But if you're looking at the entire brand, everything at the moment, OnlyFans could be considered phase one because now, we're not just, hey, we've given up everything to do porn. We've now started an online platform. It's an online community where people come to talk about sex openly and freely, education, and that is utilizing Stace's skills as an intimacy coach, my knowledge and skills from nutrition to optimize you for sex. It's a whole nother business.
Yes.
And so that has become a lot easier now that is sort of out there and they see that, there is more to it than just OnlyFans.
I think now that they've seen that it hasn't like killed our lives. So at first it was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? And I think they were also worried, what does it mean about me as a parent?
Yeah.
If your child's doing
Have I failed?
porn, yeah. And so I think now that they've seen like the world hasn't crumbled, I'm still relatively successful. I'm not, and nothing against people in the sex industry. We know some people in the sex industry who are the hardest workers, like most successful people, but they've also seen that I'm not like, it's not my whole life. It's just a part of it and it doesn't change who I am. I'm still the same person. So I think they've actually, come to see that, it's not so bad.
Do you guys, in your future viewing, do you plan on becoming parents? And if so, do you think about what those kids may have to go through based on when they get old enough that their friends at school,
You
find
sound
out.
exactly like my dad.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
That's the question he asked.
I'm like, I didn't want. I hope it doesn't come across rude, but I'm just interested to know.
Curious.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
interested to know if you think that way, and if so, what your thoughts are around it.
Kids are undecided. We are at a point right now where we really love the way that our lives are and we don't want to add children into the mix because we have so much that we want to achieve before having kids. And I think if that ever came up, the way that the world is going, it is becoming a lot more accepted. It's probably not normal to have your parents having sex on screen.
No.
I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, but I think it's that normalization. It is becoming more and more like, oh, you got an OnlyFans. Oh, even OnlyFans, the platform itself now it's bringing MMA fighters on. It's
Yes,
bringing,
true.
rally car drivers on, and they don't necessarily have, explicit content, but it's only their fans.
John Cena, wasn't it? Recently?
Yeah, Cena's up. So, it's not the seedy, Pornhub anymore, because it's content on your terms. You're not turning up on set and it's like, okay, we're going to shoot, the 6-man gangbang today. It's like, oh, okay. It's you do this. You choose what you want. Yeah. Like, how much am I getting paid? But yeah, it's on your terms. Yes. And I think the longer and longer, by the time we have kids, it's going to be pretty normal.
Yeah.
Can you take us down the line of the actual business strategy now? So you guys, you've created it, gained traction, seen the possibility of what it could create with your background. Take us through maybe the business mind of both of you guys. Have you sat down and mapped out the next 5 years or 10 years? What does that look like now with this new add-on? Maybe explain that a bit.
You go.
Well, we want to grow the community as big as possible. So this is an education platform. So prior to this, what we saw is everybody wants sex. Everybody's wants to be having sex. They want to be better at sex, but where do you actually go? Apart from looking at women's magazines with stick figures and trying to figure out how that diagram works, or watching porn, which isn't real, it's for entertainment purposes, there's really nowhere to go. So we created this platform, this online community with courses, demonstration videos, all designed to make you better in the bedroom. And we want to grow that and normalize it and make it as mainstream as possible. When we say mainstream, of course, it's 18 and over, but that is our goal, our endeavor. So to be improving people's lives and relationships through sex improvement.
We're big on, and we kind of touched on it earlier, on like the health and mindset area of it as well, and I guess full relationship development. You don't have to be in a relationship to be in the community, but working on yourself, mindset, being confident in who you are, having good nutrition, working out, feeling good about yourself, all relates to better sex. And so our goal, and I guess the way that we see it, is bringing both of I've got a master's in psych, so bringing my background to it, and Ty's background, to kind of create a little sex empire, but also personal development, and eventually that might look like toys or retreats or seminars or something bigger in the future.
That's really interesting that you have that vision down the line. Are you converting a lot of people? Converting sounds very salesy, but
sounds like a cult.
No, but people that come to your OnlyFans for entertainment purposes, do they then, I don't know, see the other side of what you guys do and say, hey, I need help or I want help, and you're almost seeing a transition there? Or is it very much like there's this bucket and that bucket and they're very separate?
Well, it's hard for us to know because, not everybody reaches out. When you sign up, a lot of them don't say anything. They just watch from the sidelines. But, the messages we get, yes, they're quite, I get, contrast. There is those who just like, hey, will you do this? I pay you this. Or it's like, we start these relationships, these discussions. Stace is kind of coaching them. So we don't know sort of the transition over, but there's definitely, just looking at the messages, yes, there is two buckets. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Can we maybe cover, and of course we want people to go and buy this, be part of this community, but maybe what are some of the overarching modules or topics that you guys are probably going to be helping and educating and coaching people with?
Well, one I'm heading up is Fit for Sex. So this is from obviously the physical point of view. We live in a society that it is really becoming increasingly alarming how bad our physical health is, and it's just becoming the norm. So optimizing someone from a health perspective, their hormones, their circulation, just to name a few, optimizing that, which is then going to transfer over into the bedroom. So one thing I still do. I coach guys in transformations. Guys over the age of 35 who want a six pack. They've hit middle age, and it's like, I want a six pack. To get
Stace is smiling there. She's going, my man's got a six pack. Yeah,
he's got 8.
Yeah.
To hit that, you're not just going to get the body. To be successful at that, you're going to get all the health benefits along the way. And so many of my clients reach out and just express, because it's a journey together, and you build a bond. And it's like, man, my sex life has improved, and I thought initially it was just because you're looking better, your partner wants you more, you got more energy. Yes, that's part of it, but your hormones are optimized. You know, the way your body works, your energy, just you have more stamina. Everything is translating over not just looking good, but now performance-wise in the bedroom. So that's one thing I head up. It's a whole course of Fit for Sex to get you optimized. One thing Stace does.
Well, we do. So I have a full body confidence and sex confidence course in there, mainly for women as well. But we also do things on techniques and skills. So we have I've got a blowjob course where it's actually no one teaches women how to give a good blowjob, and so women aren't confident in it. And men are wanting one thing and women think they want another, and obviously everyone's different, but we have literal skill techniques demonstration videos for those who want it. Techniques, different positions, and then there's a lot around the mindset that we mentioned. So confidence, relationships. What if I don't feel like sex? What if I don't have any sexual desire? Then what? So a lot around that relationship and mindset development as well.
So yeah, there's 3 pillars. It's obviously the skills, the techniques, and in the bedroom itself, how to do it, and we show that demonstrations. There's full courses like Stace mentioned, blowjob. There's road to anal, how to how to from nothing to you can perform on set. So that is huge. That is huge. But unless you got the health with it, you're not going to have the longevity in it.
Yeah.
And unless you got the right mindset, then the brain is the biggest sex organ there is. So you got to have that right as well. We view the entire improvement through those 3 pillars.
And it makes sense because, like we were talking about off air, people are learning this through porn. And we've had on this show people that are very pro porn, and we've had people that are very anti porn. They have their views, and it's very interesting to hear the reasons why. But typically, the anti porn stance is that people are learning maybe kinks, but it's the more dangerous end of the scale, and people are going into whether it's a one-night stand or they just met somebody and then...
Or having sex for the first time.
Yeah, having sex for the first time and doing something that's violent and without consent or things like that. So it's interesting to hear where you guys come in, where you're actually teaching it in a more organic way. Yeah.
That's the goal.
I think the porn debate is yes, porn can be an issue, but it's also how we're consuming it. And that's what that's the feedback that we've got from a lot of our OnlyFans subscribers as well, is because we actually show genuine, intimate, loving, passionate, hot sex that's not just for entertainment. And so there's, I guess, we still watch porn together. So there's still a place for it, but I guess we're trying to open up the conversation and provide another place so you can actually learn from genuine couple what it actually can look like in the bedroom in a safe, respectful environment that's not just for camera.
I want to go back to the blowjob education for a sec. So, and that is, as the female growing up, as girls with other girlfriends, did you ever discuss how do you give a man a blowjob? Because I'm trying to think from a male, when guys would get together as young guys, you go, I fingered a girl or something like that, and I don't know if I did it right or not. Would girls talk to each other about? Like you're saying, you're educating it now. There's probably so many females that don't know how, or they think they do and they might not. How do you know?
Well, that's a good question, because we would say that kind of the same, what did you do? Or I did this with him last night. But you wouldn't actually talk about, this is how I did it, or what do you do, or what is he like? So no one's actually talking about techniques. It's more just, I did this. And the only way that I used to learn, especially growing up, and I guess even as an adult, is in a magazine. We used to have Cosmopolitan, and they'd have a written up section of techniques. And
really?
And it's it's telling you how to do it, but you've got to read and then kind of picture how to do that. And I guess if a lot of people learn by seeing, so how do you actually then translate that to actually doing it in a bedroom? I'm very open with my friends. My friends all talk about sex and very openly, especially more now that I do what I do.
Well, they come to you now.
Yeah. They better be paying them,
Yeah. And it kind of opens it up a little bit more. But, no one really talks about techniques or how to do it. It's I remember, I don't know how much you want to hear about our sex life, but I remember when I started...
Well, it's all out there.
Go for it.
I remember when
I'm tipping that a lot of our listeners are going to be subscribing later on, so they're going to see it too.
When I first started anal training with Ty, I said to my friends, I started talking about it because I was I'm fucking terrified to have anal with this man because he is huge. and that is
Reference
gonna
number 3 for that.
that is gonna hurt. And then I started talking about it, and they all started sharing their experiences and what they did. And I was like, I literally had no idea that any of you did this, or this is something that you enjoyed, or something that women even like was something that women actually enjoyed. I thought it was always just for the man. And then they started talking about it, and they say how much they enjoy it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we can actually, it's great that we can have these conversations now.
And I think from guys, and you know, you guys probably vouch for this too, is when guys talk about sex, it has never been with the conversation intention of, oh, how do I do it better? Or, you know, how do I please her better? It's always been like, yeah, high five, I did this, man.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. There was no real development talking with the boys at all.
No.
So, you know, that was the other angle coming in too. As guys, we want to be better. We want to please our women better, have them fulfilled. But you don't talk about that with the boys down the pub.
No.
No.
So, like, what age group do you think people, obviously above the age of 18, but what age should somebody start doing these sort of courses? Is it, I know you'll probably say it's for everybody and it doesn't matter how old you are, but like, do you think it's healthy for virgins to actually go and do a course like this first, or should they go out into the real world, learn for themselves and come back and kind of improve techniques?
I think they need to fumble, man.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you've got to fumble. I think there's too much expectation. If you were doing all these courses and you're trying to remember all this
Step
stuff,
one,
man,
step
yeah,
two,
yeah,
step
yeah.
three.
It's like,
Doing
hold on,
the
you bring it up on
alphabet,
your phone. Like, just wait. Yeah, no, you got to fumble. You got to fumble.
Yeah.
That's so true. We actually talked about this the other night. Have you guys watched the TV show The In-Betweeners?
Yeah.
Like and Will's having sex for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's literally just got his arms by his side, and he's like, and then he says to the girl, "Does that count?" And she goes, "Unfortunately, it doesn't count."
Belly button doesn't count.
No, that one doesn't count. God.
Yeah, you got to fumble.
Yeah. No, that makes...
Tell us about. I know you mentioned you've just been to Perth. You've had the Sexpo. We talked a little bit about it off air, but you've got followers coming up to you guys, and you know, wanting to get a photo. And you mentioned it can be, you know, somewhat awkward for the first time. Maybe share that experience.
Well, I wouldn't say
Not
yes.
awkward, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
not awkward. But it was just the reality of, well, this exists not just online. You know, there's actual faces to, you know, usernames on, you know, OnlyFans. So
In OnlyFans, it's, you know, it's all behind a screen. It's a username. You don't even know if it's their right name. Like, some people literally it's just like user 2194 whatever. And then when you meet them in person, it's like, oh, you're an actual, like, a living person right in front of me who's like,
seen us have sex.
Yeah.
and like that fanboying and fangirling, like all nervous, like, oh my God,
Wow.
like it's, you know, and we're like, it's cool. It's cool to meet people in real life like that. But yeah, it can be an interesting experience. It really brings it to life.
So Sexpo in Perth was our first time doing an appearance. So yeah, this was sort of a shock to the system.
Yeah. Do you get analytics on OnlyFans in terms of ages and male-female ratio, or is it just totally... you got no analytics?
You know this better than
I
me.
think there's male and female. It's such a bad platform. Like,
Yeah.
they're so behind in tech. There's so much development that they could do. When we first started, I was like, I want a full report on when people joined and how long it takes
Yeah.
them to buy, and like what's the customer life cycle value, and like all of these things. There's none of that. So I don't even know if we have age statistics. You can see where people are coming from, so the main countries. But I think that's about it.
Well, what countries for you guys, do you know?
US is a big one.
Yeah.
Australia is a big one, and actually South Africa.
Yeah,
Really?
South Africa
Yeah.
is, yeah. What we found with demographics too, though, was so TikTok is a far better platform for demographics, and generally whatever is on your social, where people are coming from, is the same in OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Because they got to come through from somewhere. So coming through from your Instagram profiles or your TikTok profiles. So yeah, our main followers being the US, Australia, and South Africa, they're also the same across our social media.
And TikTok's a major driver in that.
At the start, 100%.
Yeah.
It was massive.
Did you guys lose your TikTok? Did it get banned? Did we?
Oh,
read
we're,
that?
we're shadow banned.
It's been
Yeah, I
shadow
saw that.
banned.
Oh, yeah, we're shadow
We haven't
banned,
lost it. So we were such newbies. Like, I didn't even have a TikTok when we first started TikTok. It was the first.
And I was like, I'm never going on TikTok ever.
Yeah, we all did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
I wish we all got on earlier.
I know.
I know.
I know. In the first week, we had. So in TikTok, you have 3 warnings and then you're out. So we, in the first week, had 3 warnings on our account. And it takes 90 days for those to clear. So every time we logged in, we had an account warning, like sign flashing at us. So we had to post like a church for the first 90 days of being on TikTok. And so...
Did you say post like a church?
Yeah.
You're running social media for them like a church, mate.
Sorry. And so it was difficult because that was the main place. We didn't have Instagram then. That was the main way that we were getting people into our OnlyFans.
And are you shadow banned Insta too?
Insta's all right.
So you're not... Yeah.
It's just hard to grow, though.
Do you have to type in, like we said off air, we've had OnlyFans models on the show, and you have to type in, unless you type in perfectly their username, they ain't coming up. So you don't have that issue?
We don't do too much promotion. We kind of insinuate that we have an OnlyFans, and like there's a link in bio that goes to another link. So we try to get through that.
You got to follow the...
Well, you're going to have to teach us before we start posting about clips from this episode. What are the keywords and what we have to avoid?
Oh, we got you.
Yeah.
But shadow ban on TikTok is ruthless. Like we were getting millions, hundreds of thousands of views every single post, and then
We're like, this is easy.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
And then
Literally
it's like
overnight, it was
crickets.
just like it was. We were still allowed to post, and
They
they
just
don't.
wasn't
They
going
don't tell you there's a shadow ban. It's not like TikTok will not tell you anything's wrong, but it's just not getting out.
You mentioned porn earlier. I'd be keen to hear both your perspectives on it, because obviously you guys are the whole part of what you guys are doing is allowing people to express themselves sexually in any way they want, and what I enjoy and what Dee enjoys and what you guys enjoy. It's everyone's personal. Do you think porn is a good thing or a bad thing? Just in general, you guys are now creators on OnlyFans. People would probably say that's porn, but it's very different. It's not porn. What's your opinion on the actual probably porn industry? And it is a good or a bad thing?
It's a very big question.
Yeah.
I have two sides of the coin. So, porn is the only place to go and learn and watch about sex, I think, is detrimental to a lot of people's expectations and how they, I guess, learn intimacy. Because we don't actually learn about intimacy or sex anywhere, porn is the only place essentially that we can go. And so I think for that it can be detrimental because it is entertainment. It's made for a viewing pleasure. Personally, when I used to watch porn, I hated watching it because I felt sorry for the people in the film. And so I'd only watch girl-on-girl porn because it was more like about a woman's pleasure. So I think from that perspective, it can be bad. But if you're watching it as a part of a wider, like your wider sexual repertoire, then it can be beneficial.
Yeah, I think it's as long as you have the understanding of what you're watching when it is a porn production made by a porn production house, everything is set up for the camera. The camera, think of it as the third person in there. They're not having sex to please each other. They're having sex to be the most aesthetic for that camera frame. So when they're hitting positions, they're angling themselves in really awkward positions so you can get the perfect shot for penetration. That is not real. So if somebody is coming in with the view of that's how sex should be, then yeah, like Stace said, it can be detrimental. But if you know it's entertainment and even using it as a tool to watch as a couple, just to get horny together, that's great. And also too, we've got some friends who are in the porn industry and they think the same thing. It's their livelihood, their empires, it's how they make their money. So full respect to that, but it is entertainment. It is not sex education.
I was literally going to ask if you guys know people or have friends in the industry. So what are the main differences you hear between what you guys do and somebody that is in the porn industry in terms of, like, you probably hit the nail on the head just then. Like, I imagine you guys go to work and you're actually having fun and you're enjoying it, where it sounds like in the porn industry it's more of a job. Like, I'm going to my 9 to 5, this is what I do. I don't know.
It's very much a business.
Yes.
And it's not just porn, it's other OnlyFans creators. It is viewed as a business, and sex is the service. And they are some of the most business-minded people that we know. And
we were blown away by
very
that,
successful in what they do. But sex is a business and a service. And so it is very, they're 9 to 5 and like, this is work for me. I'm not, I don't get attached. This is not for pleasure. This is work. Yeah.
Do you feel like where you guys are now and what you guys have created, has it made your relationship even better than what you probably would have imagined it before when you first got together?
I would say so. I would say,
It's very unique.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think because this is also the only relationship that we've both done this in. So we have a shared experience that we haven't shared with any other partners. And I mean, we've always had a very good relationship, very strong connection, but it's also, I guess it has developed that a little bit more in a sense that we probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, it's taken it into an environment that is definitely not normal. And look, it could have broken us, maybe, but we're thriving. So it kind of, you know how they say you can find out if you're going to last in a relationship, go on a overseas trip together.
Yeah.
And if you come back, awesome. If you didn't, nah, it's out. Well, this is that 10x,
Yeah.
So, and yeah, we thrive in it.
With previous partners, I know it's probably hard to talk about like with each other, but with previous partners, have you ever felt frustrated sexually based on either their willingness to, and it could be sex drive or it could be just their willingness to explore? Have you felt that?
For me, and this is nothing against my ex-partners, but I've always felt every single relationship I've had is at the start is great. Everybody sends their representative.
Yes.
And there's like, oh man, I've met a girl who has a super high sex drive that matches mine. And then that just,
Diminishes.
down. While I always found that I was going up. I always felt that our awesome relationship is one that the sex life improves. It doesn't drop off. The start, awesome. It's the introduction. Like, yeah, this is great. You should be developing it. And then, Stace is the first and last.
Well played.
Yeah.
I probably didn't actually explore my the kinky side and actually develop myself sexually until I was single for quite a long time. So previously in relationships, I've always had a relatively high sex drive and I never felt like I was missing something because I hadn't explored it yet. It wasn't until probably 27, 28 where I actually started to explore that part of myself. And then I had a relationship and I great person, but I wasn't really into that sexually. And then Ty's the next relationship and last relationship. And so I hit the jackpot with that one. But yeah, I didn't really explore until I was single. Yeah.
Do you guys, everyone probably pictures you, every time you guys are sexual together, it's on film. And it clearly wouldn't be the case, would it?
No.
You guys have your own sex life and it is what it is. So I think there is still probably always going to be that people think they're seeing everything, but they're still probably quite not, What is your sex life personally?
Well, I just want to clear that they probably do see a lot. They just don't see every session.
Yeah.
When we want our time, we just don't hit record. That's literally it. So you are seeing us, the sessions that we do have, they are real. They are for us. We're just recording them. And, we've done it in such a way with cameras set up that, record. And then, we have a film or end product at the end of it. But yeah, we definitely don't hit record every single time.
What ratio would it be? How often would you be recording?
30% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And how's the confidence go from from the first time you hit record to nowadays? Like it's like with us podcasting, for example. Like the first time we ever clicked record, we were jittery. We had to remake the episode about 10 times.
Cringe.
Most cringe thing you ever hear, and I hope nobody ever listens to it. But now, as you go on, you get more and more confident. In a year's time, we won't be able to listen to us today.
Yeah.
But how do you guys feel about that? Do you watch your old stuff?
I was just going to say it is kind of, it's not cringe. We've upgraded our equipment. So we were filming on iPhones and even sometimes the front camera iPhone so that we could see that we're in the frame, which is terrible.
There's nothing
Like
worse.
the selfie way.
Yeah.
And looking over, your mid,
Your ass is out.
fucking, and it's like, I'm in frame. Wait, look good. Yeah, continue. And it's like, oh God.
And I think personally, it took it took a while for me to get used to being in porn. I guess we don't really say that we're in porn because we're really doing this for us.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of an identity shift of okay, this is what I'm doing now. This is who I am. And so the first few times that we recorded, it was fun. And then afterwards, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then, now it's like, this is so fun. I love this. Let's do it again.
Have you ever recording that was shit, that's never seen the light of day? Have you ever like recorded and then you're like, nah, we're not posting?
We don't have shit sex, so
Okay.
Oh,
There you go.
dang.
Love it. Perfect
That's
response.
the clip right there.
That is
That's promo.
perfect response. Yeah.
To be honest, though, if we were looking at it like that, it's probably looking back and it's attention to detail. Okay, so you look back and the original shit was like the curtain is half hanging off. There's a pump bottle still left on the bedroom side table. The cupboard's half open. I've left my gym clothes on, and it's just that's all you see. Well, that's all I see. It's like,
Yes.
oh my God. So yeah, we clean the room now.
yeah.
I like it. Upgrade.
Yeah.
As we kind of come to a close, going back into that education space, maybe put your coaching minds on for a little second. There's a couple that at the moment, I'm trying to think of people that are maybe our age, they're starting to maybe get into marriage and having kids, and they're early in that area of their life, but they're not having sex anymore. It's you said it before, it's the last thing on their priority list. What is maybe 1 to 3 kind of thoughts they should be having, or tips that you might be able to give to them, maybe from a female and a male perspective, on how can they improve that?
So the first thing is I think I mentioned before, sexual currency. So in couples that have low intimacy is generally because they have low sexual currency. And that's things like just touching each other throughout the day, or giving a hug, or just like kissing at the end of the night. And those are sexual currencies, essentially things that you would do to someone you love or someone that you are with that you wouldn't do to your friends or family. So it's like a currency. Like I like to think of it as a bank account. The more you top that up, the more primed for sex you're going to be. So focusing on things that aren't necessarily sexual, it's not sex, but it's like touching and
But it's adding to it.
flirtatiousness throughout the day. So you're actually kind of building that. For women, and a lot of women don't know this, but our sex drive is actually responsive. So we expect ourselves to, in media and in the world, sex drive essentially looks like spontaneous. So someone's going to walk past and like, oh my gosh, I'm turned on, I want to have sex, or they say something to me. But women actually have a responsive sex drive, which means that we respond to our stimulus and like environment. So personally, I won't actually sometimes feel like having sex or be turned on until we're actually starting to do foreplay and get into the mood. And a lot of women are the same. So they shut down the opportunity to get into the mood for sex before they're actually giving themselves opportunity for that. So I always say we need to be more receptive to the option of having sex rather than actually having the desire to have sex first, because a lot of the time women will start and they're like, oh man, that feels really good, I'm really into that. And then after they'll say, oh, we should do that more often. Why don't I do that more often? And it's because our sex drive is actually responsive. So build up that sexual currency and just learning more about our sexual drive and desire.
It's really good. Yeah.
And I think too, and this is probably for male and female, is yes, you mentioned it's the first thing to drop off because there's so many other life things going on, but it's exactly the same as your health and fitness too. So generally, health and fitness is the first thing. I don't go to the gym as much. I'm pushed for time. I'm just going to hit the takeaways. We know the detriment of that. We know that. We know that's going to catch up to us, and that's our health, which is super, super important. Your relationship with your partner, your life partner, is just as important. So exercise and healthy food for your body and health long-term, sex for your relationship. You have to prioritize it too. And that's not just prioritizing time, like, okay, 9 o'clock on a Thursday, I'm going to have sex. It is prioritizing sexual currency, giving your partner that attention, just making that a priority in what you do in your everyday life.
If you take it back to like when you're first starting to see someone, you're flirtatious, you're sending texts, you're putting your best foot forward, and that starts to drop off. And you don't have to, if there's kids involved and there's stress going on, you don't always have to be doing that. But take it back to what were the things that I was doing when we started to see each other and date, and how can I bring some of that back into the relationship now? Because I think we start to take our partners for granted, like, oh, he's just going to be there, I'm going to see him tonight and he's going to be there tomorrow, and therefore I don't need to invest into this. But actually you do, and that's where a lot of the sex starts to dive and we don't have it, is because we're not prioritizing it. We're not treating each other the way that we did when we first started seeing each other. So just bring some of that back.
It's really good advice. So can we get one more tip and trick from you guys, maybe from a male and female perspective? So talking about the majority, I know everybody's different. Is there any common mistakes that people make in the bedroom, or even we could talk about oral sex, for example, the common mistakes that people make, and one tip or trick to potentially fix that? No, it's very broad.
I'm not going to specialize in oral sex, but I think the biggest flaw that guys make is not spending enough time in foreplay. We've heard that before, but guys, please, for yourselves, it counts big time. It takes, I think it was, what did you say? It was 20 minutes or something.
It's an average of like 13 to 20 minutes for a woman to orgasm.
So for some, what foreplay might be different to some. So what is, in your eyes, is foreplay, good foreplay?
Physical attention.
Yeah.
So, even stuff just strokes up and down the back, light kisses, a massage, running your hands in places that just don't go, and I'm not talking about, genital region, just giving your attention. That's foreplay. And then, heavy foreplay, yes, that's oral. But a lot of the light foreplay just gets missed. And that's a huge detriment.
Yeah.
For a
that
guy.
makes sense. Yeah.
I think for women get so focused on techniques. Am I doing this right? And what I teach as well is comes into the mindset is like it's often actually the energy of being like really into it. Like especially if you are giving oral, you're giving a blowjob. It's like actually enjoy it. Like you can get pleasure from giving pleasure, and you enjoying this is going to make him like it so much more than any techniques that you're doing. So come into it with like an energy of like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna make this mine, and that's more enjoyable for both parties.
That's one of your courses, and you call it the sacred blowjob.
Yeah.
It's like cock worship. It's a good time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Absolutely. Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much, guys. We probably didn't mention too the platform to actually find your content outside of OnlyFans. Talk to it because you've just launched it as of today, I believe. But
That's right.
This episode will probably be 3 or 4 weeks from the time we're recording. But where can we actually find this?
It's called Under the Sheets, so you can either follow it through our Instagram. It will be linked there, but it's underthesheets.mn.co, which is Mighty Networks, and that's the community. But that will be through all our socials as well.
And on OnlyFans?
Hot Couple on Show VIP.
Hot Couple on Show VIP.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. We'll put a little link up as well for the viewers and watchers. But
thanks, guys.
Of course, before you run away, you don't come off this show empty-handed. So, Dos, do you want to maybe explain Dodge and what Stace and Ty are going to
Do you guys like a drink or not really?
Oh, now and then.
Now and then.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you been known to have a pretty bad hangover?
It stops me from drinking most of the
I'm
time.
such a lightweight. I have one and I have a hangover.
Yeah, okay.
We have the product for you.
Well, Dodge are a hangover relief drink. They've basically formulated this hangover recovery beverage, which is going to stop you guys from feeling a bit rusty the next day. Typically, what they say, it's the last drink of the night. That's the last drink you have. If you've had 3 drinks, you have that before.
So you have it before you go to bed.
Yeah,
or
and then you wake
before
up
finish.
fresh.
Yeah,
Nice.
and if you're having a day session, just make that your last drink and you'll be sweet the next day. So we're going to send you home with a case of that.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And anything else we need to mention, Dos?
No, not at all. I took so much from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
No,
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
so much, guys. It was really cool to connect and really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.